welcome. This is going to be a video series, hopefully not too long, where I talk about some experiences with flipping the classroom. I'm going to be flipping my Spanish 1 class for an entire chapter. And if you're unfamiliar with the definition of flipping the classroom in its basic sense, you have the students do their lectures at home, where instead of you getting up from the class and talking about whatever for however long, they watch a video or they listen to a podcast, some sort of audio at home. And then normally when they would do their homework at home, instead of that, they would do that in class. So I'm having my Spanish 1 students do that, like I just said, but they don't know they're doing it yet. So tomorrow we start a new chapter, and typically tonight, the day before a new chapter, I'd have them create flashcards for the new chapter. But instead of doing that, and also on that first day, I'd start teaching them something new, and they're going to be learning the verb to go. And I'd normally tomorrow teach that to them, but instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have them tonight go home and watch a video in which they learn the verb, and I put it on the board. I want them to take notes as well on this. And then tomorrow morning when they come in, I'm going to start the class with a warm-up on the verb that they learned at home tonight. And we'll see, based on that, how many of them actually did their quote-unquote homework, which actually just happened to be watching a video, which is just a couple minutes long at the most, and actually supplied them with an extra video in case they needed some additional help. And the flashcards I just postponed, and they'll turn those in the next day. And then tomorrow night's homework will probably just be to review the verb ir again, and then they'll have some workbook homework, and I'll have them do that in class on Monday morning, which is 2 days from now. So along the way, I'm going to give you updates on how they're doing and what their thoughts are on this process of flipping the classroom, and I'll let you guys know my experiences, so stay tuned for the next video. To start off day 2, I put an activity on the board as a warm-up, which practiced what they needed to watch last night in the video at home. It was just the use of a certain verb, and the students that did watch the video at home, I could tell because they pulled out their notes, like I asked them to take notes on the video, and they did the activity in like a minute. And then the students that didn't watch the video, I had a few different students come to me with excuses saying they couldn't access the internet at home, or their dad wouldn't let them use their computer or something along those lines, which could be legit, a real reason why to not watch something. So those kids were basically sitting there for the beginning of class. Later on in class, I did come back and revisit that concepts to make sure that they got that lesson anyway. Ideally, I wouldn't have to do that in the future, but in an ideal world, every student is here every day. Every student does their homework. Every student listens. Every student participates, and that doesn't ever happen. So probably going to have to come back and revisit concepts even after they should have watched them at home. So overall, it was fairly successful with the exception of those couple kids. And tonight's homework was to watch another video just to review an old concept, because tomorrow, or I guess Monday morning, they're going to be doing their homework in class again, which is going to be reviewing an old concept with some new vocabulary. And we'll see how that goes. I still haven't told them yet that we're doing a flipped classroom, so at the end of this unit, I'll ask them what they thought, and I'll let you guys know. So stay tuned for day 3. So today's the end of day 3, and today in class the students did some homework. And the homework was based on a video that they watched over the weekend, which was just to review a concept they had already learned, and it was mixing in some of the new vocabulary. And the problem that I'm finding right now with doing the homework in class is, well, there are 2 problems. One is I have different levels of students. I have some students that are on IEPs, and from students who are gifted, and the gifted ones obviously they finish the homework, within a couple of minutes, while maybe an average student, it might have taken them like 8 minutes. And I have some that are either lazy or legitimately struggle with the material that take much longer. So the challenge I'm having is trying to get those lazy or struggling students to get done a little bit faster. And I don't want to spend all class working on a homework assignment, so I need to think of something that I can do to make them so they're on the same page. Maybe I can put them in pairs, or have some of the stronger students work with some of the weaker students, or something like that. We'll try something maybe a little bit different tomorrow. Tonight's homework is to watch 2 videos on a new concept, telling time, and they're about 8.5 minutes total of videos, and I even supplied them an extra video of about 3 minutes if they want extra practice on the concept. So hopefully tomorrow they'll come in and understand how to tell time. Cross my fingers, because there's a lot involved in telling time. We'll let you know how it goes. All right. So we just finished day 3 of instruction on the flipped classroom. Last night's homework was to watch a video or 2 on learning how to tell time in Spanish. And the students that watched the videos clearly understood what they learned because I did a warm up in the morning that was based on the concept that they watched last night. And some of them did really well, and some of them were completely lost because they didn't watch the video for whatever reason. A couple of them had excuses, which they could have done it basically, but they chose not to for whatever reason. So for tonight, their homework was not to learn something new, but it was to go back and watch those videos if they didn't watch them. Also, though, I gave them an extra credit opportunity. So if they watch this other video that I supplied for them and answered a couple questions and brought them in to me tomorrow, the answers to the questions, I give them some extra credit. So I'm trying to enrich those students who go above and beyond a little bit. I put on the homework assignment the word optional, and then I explained what it is and what they can do to get the extra credit. So hopefully some of them will do it just so they can learn a little bit more about how to tell time, and we'll see how that goes. I'll let you know if anybody does the extra credit or not tomorrow, and we'll go from there. So let's stay tuned. So we just finished the 4th day of the flipped classroom. I don't know how many of the students watched the videos last night because it wasn't a necessity, because it was really just kind of a review thing. However, I did have a comment from a couple of students who asked like how long they're going to have to keep watching these videos because they were tired of taking notes. I guess they like when the video was on and there was something, say, on the whiteboard or behind me or something like that, they felt like they had to pause the video, write down what they saw, and then continue the video. So say it could turn a 5-minute video into a 10-minute video, for example. But no one has expressed any appreciation for having the opportunity to do the homework in class. And no one still has said anything about the difference in what we're doing. So I haven't taught them anything in class like I normally would have. It's all been at home online from my videos, and their homework has all been in class. Today's homework in class was primarily like a vocabulary thing. The majority of them completed it probably a little bit faster than the last couple of days, so it's gotten a little bit better. And tonight they are going to be learning a new concept with the video at home. I posted a total of 3 videos. 2 of them are instructional videos, and the third one I put an optional video. I took an actual part of an upcoming test that they're going to have on that concept, and I give them the questions and the answers. So we'll see if any of them watch that, and hopefully they will, and enrich themselves and do better on the test. So we'll let you know how day 5 goes coming up. So we just finished day 5 of the flipped classroom, and again, several students didn't watch the videos the video that they needed to watch last night, and it wasn't very long either. It was like 2.5 minutes, so it was pretty super simple homework. But so we did the warm up this morning, and it was very obvious who watched the videos because they were doing the warm up correctly, and then it was clear who didn't watch the video. But those who didn't watch the video, it caught on fairly quick because it wasn't a very difficult concept, so that's good. We did the homework in class again, and what I'm finding now by doing it this way is the homework actually takes them longer than I would think. So I don't know if this is usual, like when they go home and have a normal homework assignment, does it usually take them 10-15 minutes? It shouldn't take them that long, and I know for some of them it doesn't, but if it's taking some of them that long, perhaps I should give more models for every single activity in the homework from now on, because I don't want them to be spending 20-30 minutes on homework at night. That's too much. It should take them maybe 10, and then they could spend 5 studying their flashcards, and then that's it. I don't want them to spend their whole night doing homework, because I know what that's like. So I'll maybe reconsider giving some more examples in the future of every single activity in the homework. I'll probably go back to how I was doing things before the flipped classroom. So that's something I can do. But still, no one has said anything about doing this. No one said, why are we watching videos at home? Why are we doing homework in class? And they've done 4 or 5 homework assignments in class, and no one said anything yet. So it's interesting. Tonight's homework was to watch a video. It's a little bit longer. It was about 6.5 minutes, and ideally they'll take notes, so it might take them, 10 minutes to do it. We'll see how it goes tomorrow morning. I'll give them a warm-up, which will incorporate this, and what they're learning is different question words or interrogative words in Spanish, like who, what, when, where, etc. And in the video, I even give them an activity that's pretty much exactly the same as a portion of the test. So hopefully some of them take that to heart and watch the video and be ready for the test, which will be sometime next week. So that's it for this one. We'll stay tuned for the next day. Hasta luego. All right, so let's mark one down for day 6 of the flipped classroom. It's becoming very clear to me and to the students the value of watching the assigned videos, and some of them even said out loud today in class, I really need to start watching those videos. Well, yeah, you do, because when they come into class and we do those warm-ups, they're just the ones that don't watch the videos are just like, what do I do? And they are realizing that they need to do that. And hopefully, if I decide to do this again, or maybe like a mixture of flipped classroom / regular classroom, they will take that to heart and be like, okay, I'm going to watch this video so that I can do better in class on tests and quizzes and whatnot. So the homework, this is a Friday, so we're coming up to the weekend. This weekend, I asked them to watch any videos that they did not watch, to finish any homework. We'll call it homework because they do it in class, but some of them did not do it all in class. So to watch the videos they didn't watch, do the homework they didn't watch, I have assigned them a kind of like a project where they have to write a letter. They can work on that. And then they also have a vocabulary quiz on Monday as well. So there's a lot that they can be doing over the weekend, studying and making up missed assignments. And pretty soon we'll have the grammar quiz, which will probably be on Tuesday the following week. So that's 2 class days from now. And from that, it'll help me get an idea of how well they learned the material or how poorly they learned it. And come the end of this series, I will create a survey where I ask the students some questions about the flipped classroom, get their opinions on it, and I'll share those results with you so that you can get an idea. That's it for this portion, and we'll see you guys next time. So today the students just had a vocabulary quiz, was the majority of the day. We did a little bit of like a review thing at the beginning of class, but that was the primary focus. And the vocabulary quiz, the results are probably about average. There wasn't anything glaringly different than normal, but I don't think that doing the flipped classroom has a big effect on this because they should be studying their flashcards at home whether or not I do that, and we still do the same kind of activities in class, so that doesn't really affect the vocab quiz. But tomorrow we have the grammar quiz, so this is where we'll see some effect on it, and we'll talk about that more then. Hasta luego. Buenos dias. So the students just took their grammar quiz for the chapter and scored an average of a 90% on that quiz. Just to look up and see differences, I looked up in the past and I took the averages. So far this year, they've had a total of 6 grammar quizzes, including the current one. So if I take the one out of it and I average up all of the previous grammar quizzes, their average grade between all of those was an 84%. So we're at a little bit above average for this grammar quiz for this flipped classroom. So while it's not necessarily something to write home about, it's good. You know, we don't see a big drop in grades. So we'll say so far the flipped classroom is being successful. The last thing we'll see is we'll have a chapter test, which has some vocabulary, some grammar, some written components, some listening components, a little bit of everything in there. And we'll take a look at those grades, and we'll get back and look at averages and stuff like that. So I think my next video and last video will be about that. And so until next time. Hola, so this will be kind of the last video here where I'm going to sum up how it went with flipping the classroom. I conducted a survey, and I'm going to show you the responses that I got from that survey. So let's jump over to that right now. All right, so what you see in front of you is the survey that I gave my students, and the questions or fill in the blanks type of thing. The first one was what is a flipped class? I just wanted to see if they could define it for me. The next one, did you notice anything different about how I taught the class? And in comparison to all previous chapters or units, did you feel more or less or equally prepared for the quiz assessments? This chapter, your homework was to watch videos. The typical homework was done in class, and I wanted to know if they liked it or not and why. If it were up to you, you would go back to how things were, would continue with the most recent method, or feel it doesn't matter to you. And lastly, do you have any other thoughts about how the material is presented to you in this chapter? So this is a survey that I gave my students. Let's take a look at the results. Okay, so I got the results here with the question at the top and then all of their answers right here. And I have some things I'm going to say about each one. The first thing I want to look at here is, well, let's do this first. What is a flipped class? You'll notice that I don't know is most prevalent. And we got a couple people, a class that's taught differently than normal. Okay, that's basically the same thing. So a couple people, you know, said it's different, but they didn't really know what it was. So it's interesting to see that none of the students know what a flipped classroom is. They do now. Let's see. Next question is, did you notice anything different about how I taught the material in this chapter? I want to point out something to you here. 1 and 2 people said no. And then over here to the right it says, did you feel more or less or equally prepared for the quizzes or tests? These 2 people put less as well. So not only did they not notice that I was teaching the class completely differently, but they also felt less prepared. So perhaps there's some sort of a correlation here. And then you'll notice over here, we'll get to this in a second, but they don't like the way it works, and we can go down further here in a minute if you want to. But for the most part, everybody said yes, and they understand that we watched videos for homework was the most common thing that people said. In comparison to previous chapters, did you feel more or less or equally prepared? I kind of added up for you. So one student said they were more prepared, 8 were equally, and 9 were less prepared. Let's move on. The typical workbook was done in class, and let's see, did they like it, dislike it, or they didn't care? 7 students liked watching the videos at home and doing the homework in class. 3 were indifferent, and then 8 dislike it. So the majority like it or are indifferent to it. Just point that out to you. Next one. If it were up to you, 6 students would continue, 3 don't care, and then 9 would go back to the way it was. So it's about half and half split as to whether or not I would continue doing it. And then do you have any other thoughts or about how it worked out? So there were a couple things here I want to point out to you. We had a few people say they like doing the workbook in class because they could get help, which is understandable because if they have homework at home and they don't understand it, more than likely my students, they're not going to have a Spanish speaker or someone in the house that can help them with it, so they could potentially become stuck. So if they're in class, I can help them with it. And then, let's see, this person says they think that instead of 1 video per day, it would be like 1 big video every couple of days, which is strange because I think the longest video I made or had them watch was maybe 7 minutes, and then I had some that were as short as like 2 or 3 minutes. So it's not a lot. I don't think it's a lot, but this person did. And this last one, I thought that the way it was taught, I was taught, was just material being given to us, not like we were actually being informed. So that's an interesting comment. They didn't feel like they were as well prepared for the test of the class. They didn't feel like they were being taught as well as if I were doing it in class. So that's the result of the survey. All right, so I wanted to show you guys something else too, if you can bear with me for a second here. What I've been doing this year is keeping track of the different concepts that I've been teaching and how the students are, how well they're achieving on those concepts on their different tests. So for example, if I go up here, this is for Unit 1, Chapter 1. I have 2 things that I was assessing. I'm talking about likes and talking about origin. And over here, this is the percentage of students that pass the concept in their first try. And passing for me is earning a 75% or more on that concept. And over here on the right, I put the total score average of, on average, how many people passed their ELOs, which are called essential learning outcomes. So we got a 70% on the first test, second test, 88%. On this next test, I had 5 concepts, and they got an average of 81%, just 2 concepts, but a low 65. This right here is the chapter that I just did the flipped classroom for. So you notice that on average, I got a 78% here passage rate for the ELOs on average. Really only one of them was poor, the interrogative one, and that really just came down to whether or not the students spent time studying the words like who, what, when, or why, etc. And a lot of them didn't, and it showed. But overall, at a 78, that's not too bad. And I took an average of all of these numbers right here on the previous 4 exams, and that number comes out to be actually a little bit below this 78%. So if we look at it this way, on average, they actually did better in the flipped classroom scenario than they do in the traditional classroom. They said it was harder, but I mean, this is pretty good. These 3, obviously, maybe we need some help there. I'll try something different next year when I'm teaching this, but just thought I'd show you that information because I think it's pertinent to what we're talking about. So just some closing thoughts here. If I were to do this again another time, there are 3 things that I might do just a little bit differently. 1, I would tell them what I'm doing up front rather than just say, not tell them at all. The first time I did it, I said, your homework was to watch a video. And the next day, your homework was to watch a video. Your homework was to watch a video. I'd actually tell them what I was doing. It was just kind of a surprise thing. I said, we're doing homework in class. The really strange thing is that nobody ever asked me, why are we doing it this way? I had a couple kids say they were tired of watching videos because they didn't want to have to take notes, which was kind of strange because, quite frankly, if you're in the classroom, you'd be taking notes anyway, so it's more or less balances out anyway. And then the second thing is I would overemphasize the importance of watching the video at home. I would probably also supplement my videos with another video as well, maybe by somebody else. I'd have to watch them first just to make sure that the content is what I want. But just so they can have somebody else do that, because I did do that for one video. I had them watch a different presenter, a native speaker of Spanish, and some of them watched the video. It was for extra credit though, so not all of them watch it. Maybe next time I'd make them watch it. And then the third thing would be to do more practice on that one concept that you saw they did poorly on, the interrogatives. Obviously, I didn't do as well, and the students didn't do as well as I wanted them to do, and as well as I wanted to do as well. Also, so that's kind of it. I would suggest that maybe you give it a shot sometime. You don't have to have your own videos, but it's better if you do, because then you know who is teaching what to your students and that they're learning it in the way that you want them to learn it best. If you stuck around for this entire video, congratulations. I don't know how you did it because it's probably really boring. But if you did, in the comment section below, why don't you write peanuts, and anybody that doesn't stick around for the whole video would be confused. That'd be funny. That's it. If you have comments, suggestions, whatever, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.